This research is showing that these are not soft skills. They're just skills. They're interpersonal skills. And we need to start calling them what they are. Welcome to the Glow Up Revolution podcast, a podcast for overgivers, overachievers, and the strong ones in the room. We discuss everything from neuroscience-based burnout prevention to magic spells we can cast for upcoming job opportunities and everything in between. Welcome. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome back to the Glow Up Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Megan Winkler, and today we are talking about something that I am officially over. I am officially done with. I have reached my limit on. I am done. And maybe you have too. It's the term soft skills. I just want you to listen to that again with me for just a moment. Soft skills. Even the phrase sounds like a little bit of an apology. Like something you tack on to the end of a resume after the real qualifications. I'm doing air quotes for those of you not watching on Spotify, YouTube, or Patreon. In fact, they're the skills that I've tacked on to the end of a resume back when I worked in corporate and was submitting resumes. It's like, oh yeah, and also I can do these things. Like communication and empathy and emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, active listening, self-awareness, intuition, relational intelligence, all of that. All those soft skills, those things that can't be measured by a number, can't be qualified as a KPI, and there's no ROI that's measurable on them. Okay. Yes, I'm starting off with a lot of sarcasm because research is actually showing us that these things, these quote unquote soft skills, are actually qualities that determine whether a leader is effective versus just technically competent. These are the things that build trust in our businesses, in our community, in corporate America. If you have a team or you are a team member, it helps us retain talent and navigate crises, right? And I feel like crises are all around us. It's what holds people together during times of intense pressure, and we've been calling them soft. So today I want to make the case for a framing switch because this framing is inaccurate and it is also actively harmful. And I think this is one of the sneakiest ways that the toxic masculine leadership templates that we seem to just have around us stay in power even when we think we've moved past it, or even when we are ready to move past it and are making those changes, right? So these skills, though, we need to keep in mind or historically practiced more by women because they're relational, emotional, and intuitive. I just finished a full rewatch of Mad Men a couple of months ago, and it was just so wild how much the secretaries, who were all women, totally just like mothered and, comforted and sometimes ended up on the couch of the men. Like they were there to make sure their schedules were taken care of and their wife's birthday was never forgotten and that they had their calls connected in a way that was professional and they felt supported, right? So of course, as we have evolved as individuals in business, whether we own a business or we are part of a larger team, we've inherited these skills from the women that came before us, right? Because, if you think about it, you've got a secretary and then she's training her replacement. She's teaching her all the things that she needs to know and so on and so forth, right? But these are less measurable because it was less important to measure what women were doing when women entered the workforce back in like the 40s, during World War II, and then really in the 50s and 60s, right? Because it was always like, oh, they're just there for a time. They're just there to support people and they're going to go off and have babies soon and they're never going to work again. So it's like not something that needs to be managed or measured by the account department, right? So over the years, we've absorbed this and we've taught our daughters to do this. We've taught the people who have come behind us who come next in our job position these lessons. And now we're walking around calling our greatest leadership assets soft, and we are undervaluing them. So I really want to start changing that today, right? So let's do a little reframe right now. What we call soft skills are actually human performance skills. And so I'm suggesting this as an alternative. They're the skills that determine how effectively a human being can function in a relationship with other human beings. And this extends beyond our work sphere, right? And this is a really important aspect of leadership. And I'm going to cite a little bit of research here. Okay, so one is from Google's Project Aristotle, and this was a multi-year study, and they were looking at what makes teams high performing. And they found that psychological safety was really the top predictor of team performance. It was correlated with 43% of the variance in the team performance, and a high psychological safety within teams showed 19% higher productivity and 31% more innovation. That's freaking cool. So psychological safety is created through empathy, active listening, emotional attunement, all this so-called soft stuff, these soft skills, quote unquote, that I talked about at the beginning of the episode. In the Harvard Business Review, Daniel Goleman's research found that emotional intelligence was the defining factor separating effective executives from merely adequate ones. So this, again, is not IQ. It's not a technical skill, any of that. It really is creating that safety through empathy, through compassion, through relationships. And then McKinsey's research also backs that up. And they found that 75% of current roles really do need to be reshaped because the skills that are rising to the top aren't actually the technical ones. They're the social and emotional ones. So they really need to rethink how they're putting job ads out there or job postings on job boards when they are looking for technical skills, especially among like managers and execs. It's different. It's shifting. This research is showing that these are not soft skills. They're just skills. They're interpersonal skills. And we need to start calling them what they are. So, you know me, I got to write something new. I got to flip a script, all these things. So I propose a different vocabulary. So instead of soft skills, let's talk about human performance skills. So like the ability to function well in relationships and function well with others. Leadership intelligence. It's kind of like emotional quotient, EQ, as part of an intelligence, not a personality trait, right? Like good leadership skills should not be a leadership trait. It's a type of performance. Relational capacity is the ability to build trust and navigate conflict and hold space for other people. And then finally, embodied wisdom. And you know, I love this term, embodied wisdom, our inner wisdom, intuition, and somatic intelligence as leadership tools and data. So once we start calling these things what they actually are, something shifts. And we see these shifts in a corporate setting or a small business setting where there's a small team. And we see these shifts on the micro level. So within organizations where it's a solo entrepreneur running everything, wearing all the hats, it's happening in our families, our relationships, our communities, all of that. Right? So they really are the foundation. And if we can switch it up in one area of our life, no matter where you're at, you can start affecting that change in all areas of your life. So a little personal story here. Back when I was applying for jobs in the corporate world, before I started my business, I had a hard time coming up with the quote unquote concrete skills and specific metrics. And you know, a resume loves specific metrics. Then I was a copywriter and an editor. So a lot of my work was intuitive, it was relational, it was creative. So when I worked in publishing, for example, it was the salespeople who secured the spots, brought the money in. They could track, the ROIs and the KPIs and all of that, right? But I was the editor of these collaborative books. And once these clients were secured and the contract was signed, the salespeople were out of there and they were just bringing in more people. So as the book's editor, I had to make sure that we hit deadlines, of course, right? So I didn't miss deadlines. So that's technically a measurable metric there. But my main job was to create the content and make sure the clients were happy, that they felt seen, that they were cared for, that they didn't feel like they were just hanging on out there in the world, just waiting and hoping that they would get information about like the next round of edits or whatever. It's really hard to assign a metric to all of those things, right? So when I talked to career counselors and recruiters about this, and even at the time, my dad, I was always met with, you've got to be more specific. They don't care about soft skills. So from that point onward, I started ignoring the quote soft skills and tried to present things in percentages and measurable, numberable data, if you will. And I think it's really important here to acknowledge that we don't just inherit the language of soft skills from culture. We actually internalize it. It is one of those stories, one of those quote unquote limiting beliefs that we internalize, and we start using it on ourselves and against ourselves. We start qualifying our own strengths, kind of apologizing right out the gate, calling them soft skills or leaving them at the very bottom of the resume. And it's interesting because once you start noticing that you're doing it and you catch yourself saying something like, it might sound too emotional, but, or maybe I'm being a little too sensitive here, but you can't unhear it. But the work is in reclaiming the skills you already have and that you stop trusting. The work is really honing in on that self-trust again. There's also a deeper cost to reducing our skills to that quote unquote soft thing. When we accept the framing of these skills as soft, they become secondary, supplemental, nice to haves. We are undervaluing ourselves, and we are making decisions based on that undervaluation, right? So if we work for somebody else, we don't go out for a raise. We might not think we have what's needed for a promotion. We hire for technical skills if we're bringing on team members, and we will ignore relational capacity if we've internalized this too much. We can even build teams that are analytically sharp and interpersonally hollow. And we will promote the people who hit the numbers instead of the ones that make everyone around them better at what they do and better at their jobs. So it's not shocking to me that turnover is high, culture is broken, and right now we have a lot of people that would like to move on from a different job. And unfortunately, with the economy as it is, it's very difficult to find somewhere else, right? And so if we go in with these softer skills, quote unquote, it's harder to say, hey, yeah, I'm the person for this job. Again, what happens in the larger corporate job market is felt in small businesses, even if you're a solo business owner and doing it all yourself. The reason I'm going through all this is because language matters. The framing matters. Language shapes how we make decisions and how we see ourselves. And when we call something soft, we're saying that it's optional. Optional things get cut first. It gets cut in budgets and hiring decisions, and even in how we assess our own worth as leaders and as business owners. So one of the things that I see most in women that I work with is they've built something genuinely impressive. So some of them have small teams. They've got good revenue. They've got amazing results for their clients. And they still hesitate to claim their leadership intelligence as a competitive advantage, right? They'll still name their systems. They really go into like the what you get, not the transformation, not the emotional component of it, not the space that's held and the growth container that can be fostered and loved on and increased. These women hold space for really hard conversations, and they are able to actually help their clients make decisions when they integrate data and intuition, when they, talk about the situation that's going on, when they work through the limiting beliefs that their clients have. Others of my clients create amazing products because they tap into the emotions that go into the financial goals, right? And so often then on the sales pages or in emails, talking about what you get, not who you become as you move through this. And when we embrace who we are as leaders, whether we own a business or we work for someone else, and even out in the world in our community, we can really step into our edge. We can, to borrow a business term, say this is our key differentiator. This is what makes us different. This is why you want to work with me and not someone else. This is why you want to come volunteer at this organization with me. This is why you want to come to my party. This is why you want to be on my team, on my corporate team. This is why you want to come be my VA. This is why you want to be my client or my customer. And this is what I'm building in the She Disruption program. And this is why I'm building it the way I am. Yes, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my upcoming program because I am so excited about it and it is so, so important. Most leadership development, even the good stuff, still operates inside the old framing. Where you come in, you learn a framework, you practice skills, and you leave with tools. And those tools are useful, but they're outside in, and they assume that you just have the right technique, you will lead better. For women who have been systemically trained to override their own emotional, intuitive intelligence and their relational and their relational capacity, that's hard to say, a new technique isn't needed. The reconnection with herself is what she needs. So that's what I'm creating with the She Disruption. And we're not starting with skills. We're starting with you. And we are specifically starting with your human design. So every woman who joins the program receives a personalized mini human design reading from me at the beginning of our work together. This is not a generic quiz or a worksheet that you have to fill out yourself. It's an actual reading mapped to your specific energy type that shows you how you're designed to make decisions, how you're designed to lead, use your energy in business and beyond. Because what I've learned is the reason these so-called soft skills feel inconsistent for so many women isn't because there's a lack of them. It's because they've been trying to practice them in a way that goes against their actual energetic design. For instance, if a projector is leading like a generator, they're going to burn out. If a manifester is following someone else's strategy, they're going to feel caged. A reflector making decisions at the speed that the culture around us demands, they will lose touch with their own knowing, their own wisdom. So when you understand your design, these skills stop being things you perform and start being things you really embody. Okay. And that's the shift we're creating with the She Disruption. We are disrupting. She stands for seen, heard, elevated. Elevated. Isn't that so good? So here's some quick deets before I wrap things up for you. The program runs for 8 weeks. There's curriculum, community, and coaching. And it's built on the premise that the most powerful thing you can do for your leadership is to lead from who you actually are. So the curriculum portion is actually delivered in podcast style episodes, much like this. They are audio only. You can listen to anywhere, on the go, on your walk, in the kid pickup line, whatever. You can re-listen to them when you need to. And the weekly calls are totally optional and kept to 45 minutes. They will be recorded for later access because nobody's got time for a long call. So basically you can just block out an hour on your calendar and you'll have 45 minutes and 15 minutes to go do something else. Get up and take a walk. So the doors are opening on May 4th. The waitlist is open now. I'm going to have the waitlist link in the show notes. And those waitlist members actually get first access and a bonus that I am not publicly announcing. So you just got to hop on that waitlist to find out. So before I let you go, I want to give you one thing to take into your week. Okay. So the invitation here is to notice the language you use when you talk about your own strengths. Are you qualifying them? Are you softening them? Are you calling them people things or soft skills or whatever, like people skills, when they're actually true leadership characteristics? You don't have to do anything big. You don't have to like announce a big rebrand or totally rewrite your stuff on your website or anything like that. Just notice what's going on. Journal it if that feels good, or do a little voice note to yourself. And then when you catch yourself diminishing your strengths again, I want you to pause and try the sentence again without any sort of apology or this might sound blank, but wrapped in there, okay? Thank you so much for being here. Please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment here wherever you're watching. We are on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. There is also a Patreon called the Glow Up Circle that you can join for free. And for as little as $3 a month, you will receive weekly tarot updates and energy updates for what's coming up that week and some other goodies in there. So hop in. I would love to see you there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me directly at hello@meganwinkler.com. Come say hi on Instagram at It's Megan Winkler. That's my YouTube handle as well to keep things easy. And if you really enjoyed this episode, please share it with one woman in your world who needs to hear it. Because I think we all need to support each other and ourselves more these days. Please leave me a review if you haven't as well. I always forget to ask that. And thank you once again for being here. Y'all are amazing, and I'm super grateful to be able to put these messages out in the world. So stay safe, stay hydrated, and of course, as always, stay magical. See you next week.